I'm really, really excited to present the last student for this year again. His name is Ian Berg. I'm going to read a little bit of his bio. Ian Berg is a Boston-based tap dancer. Ian is currently an affiliate professor at Emerson College, as well as guest lecturer at Tufts University, teaching tap dance practice and history. Since founding Subject Matter in 2015, the company has created and performed almost 20 different pieces in over 50 different venues across the East Coast, Midwest, and Canada. And he also the very first tap dancer we ever had in the Berklee Global Jazz Institute. Please welcome Ian Berg.
Good morning, everyone. I wanted to start by playing a little bit, actually. So I'm going to invite my friend Chase Morin out here. If we could get a little bit of light. Oh, yeah, I don't need that. A little bit of light on the stage so we can see my feet. Yeah. Cool. This is a tune of mine that didn't make it into the recording studio, but I still wanted to share it. It is called TBD. Thank you, Chase. Can I just like grab a sip of water for like 1 second? So, as we can see, tap dance is both dance and music, right? I'm like making that clear? Great. This is nothing new. Tap dance has always been a pivotal form of dance and music in the development of Black American dance and music. In the 1700s and 1800s, states like South Carolina passed laws that barred enslaved Africans from having drums. So they started using their feet to communicate those same rhythms. Tap dance and jazz have the same musical roots. It's no wonder why one of tap dance's foundational steps is called a shuffle. In the 1930s and 40s, tap dancers often toured with big bands. Dancers like Juanita Pitts, Leon Collins, and Dr. Jenny Ligon toured around the country in numerous big bands. And big band leaders like Duke Ellington, Jimmy Lunsford, and Count Basie wrote music that featured tap dance. The piece that Chase and I just played is actually loosely based on a Duke Ellington tune titled Tap Dancer's Blues. Many drummers, influential drummers like Max Roach and Papa Joe Jones, spoke often about the ways that tap dance influenced their playing, and other drummers like Boston's own Roy Haynes and Philly Joe Jones and Steve Gadd actually tap danced themselves. The legendary tap dancer from the class act Coles and Atkins, Dr. Honey Coles, or Dr. Charlie Atkins, actually went on to become the resident choreographer for Motown Records, kind of setting the stage for the type of choreography that we see in a lot of pop music concerts today. Dancers like Baby Lawrence and Earl Groundhog Basie were present in the 1940s and 50s bebop scene in New York. And B-boys and B-girls in the 1970s Bronx were definitely influenced by the flash stylings of dancers like Conrad Buckner. Oh, I'm supposed to have this line up. Dancers like Conrad Buckner and the Nicholas Brothers. All this is to say, tap dance is both dance and music. It is also not just a pivotal part of the development of both Black American dance and music, but it is a central part of these art forms. In the same way that flamenco, katak, and Irish step dancing are instruments in their respective folk musics, tap dance is an instrument in jazz. Similarly, dance styles like jazz, hip hop, and swing dancing share a variety of steps and shared vocabulary with tap dance. There are many places where one can receive a degree in dance, and many places where one can receive a degree in a variety of musical genres. But there is nowhere where one can receive a degree in tap dance. I wanted to give a little light to my educational background. I grew up in Chicago. I used to spend my summers dancing at the CHRP Rhythm World Festival, which is actually where I met Diane Walker, who is here with us today. If you don't know, you should go home and go on YouTube. And yeah. Then in my high school years, I started dancing with a group called Mad Rhythms, a group that has trained many of the finest tap dancers of my generation. After I graduated from high school, I moved to Boston, and I went to the Boston Conservatory, where I graduated in 2016 with a BFA in Contemporary Dance Performance and an emphasis in composition. Since then, I've been working with the Boston-based tap dance company Subject Matter. I have been studying with Diane the Leon Collins repertoire, and I have been teaching at Emerson College and Tufts University, where I will return this coming fall. Last fall, I had the privilege of joining the student body here at the Berklee Global Jazz Institute, which has really transformed my understanding of my instrument in a pretty monumental way. I know this schooling has taught me so many practical skills, but it has also opened my thinking. I've been exposed to all sorts of dance and music that may not have crossed my path in a conventional tap dance educational setting. At the same time, I've had a truly excellent tap dance training from some of the finest teachers in the form. I believe that we have an opportunity to create a program that balances a well-rounded, historically rooted tap dance education with study in both dance and music. What if we had tap dancers that could write and arrange their own music, or had training in dance composition and multiple American vernacular dance styles, and had a understanding of not just the history of tap dance, but also the historical context in which the form is rooted? All of this while receiving a comprehensive tap dance education from some of the art form's key practitioners and culture bearers. This leads us here. The Tap Dance Institute, a first of its kind 4-year tap dance bachelor program geared towards promising young tap dancers. Designed for a place like Berklee College of Music that has both a top-tier dance and music program, students would take a quarter of their classes in dance, a quarter in music, and the remaining half would be tap dance classes. I believe that with the right course catalog, we can expand the knowledge of the next generation of tap dancers. Here we see some of the courses. Let's take a look. All of the courses on the outside columns are already offered at Berklee College of Music or the Boston Conservatory. In the middle, we see our tap dance course offering, focused on bringing the culture of tap dance and tap dance instruction to the program while offering a broad range of topics related to the art form. This culture has some unique features that have been really influenced by my time as a student at the Berklee Global Jazz Institute, but also at the Boston Conservatory. It is essential that this art form is rooted in historical understanding. Students will take courses in tap dance history, jazz history, dance history, and Black American history. Tap dance has historically been passed down from mentor to student, a practice that is not commonplace in today's community, but one that I have been grateful to experience myself. Each student would be paired with a faculty member that would act as a mentor to see them through the program, having conversations and giving guidance to the young dancers as they move through this journey. A prime example of someone who could be a mentor figure in this program is someone like Mr. Derek Grant, who I had the pleasure of taking my private instruction with this semester. In order to put into practice the principles of this program, Peter Piper, my gosh, there will be 2 types of ensembles. One will function like a small tap dance company, giving students the opportunity to work as a team with other dancers, try out choreography, and perform throughout the semester. This group will also feature a student band that will accompany them at rehearsals while learning how to arrange and play with tap dance. Tap dance composition students will have the opportunity to work with the tap dance ensemble students to set pieces if they so choose. The second type of ensemble will look something like what I've been doing this year at Global, putting a single tap dance student in the band, like what I demonstrated with Chase earlier. This gives students the opportunity to think more deeply about the sound and function of their instrument and how it is a part of an ensemble. It will also give non-dancing musicians the opportunity to learn what a tap dancer's role in the ensemble is, which is somewhere between a horn player and a percussionist. Both types of ensembles will perform throughout the year. There are incredible tap dance practitioners and educators that do not live in Boston, but that should be involved in the program. Having low residency faculty members will give an opportunity for them to be present in the program without having to relocate to Boston. This is similar to the way that guest artists work at BGJI. Artists would come in, teach lessons, teach classes, and additionally set work on the tap dance ensemble for performances during the semester. There are many ways that guest artists could engage with the curriculum. Tap dance has such a regional and localized history that bringing in different artists from different places to really speak on the culture of tap dance in their city and bring repertoire from their city would be critical to getting a full picture of what tap dance has looked like, but also looks like today. In the first 2 years, students would have a pretty prescribed curriculum aimed at creating the fully rounded education, including liberal arts and writing courses, anatomy and physiology, and somatic movement classes like yoga and Pilates. As we move into our final years, students would have the opportunity to focus in an area of emphasis. This does not limit the students to only these classes, but will allow the students to dig deeper into specific areas that they're interested in. We see the 4 areas here: music, dance, education, and composition. This is adopted from my time as an undergraduate at the Boston Conservatory, where I had a composition emphasis. I think it is critical to the success of this program that there is some sort of scholarship fund that allows for a wide variety of people to come to this program. I think that's absolutely critical. And there's no better place than Boston, home of some of history's greatest tap dancers, from Jimmy Slide to Leon Collins to Diane Walker to Derek Grant, for this program to live. The Institute is intended to offer young dancers the opportunity to study with key practitioners in the field rooted in tap dance's history, while also receiving a top-notch education in dance and music. I like to think of this as filling out the totality of this Venn diagram. When I like to think about putting together dances, I don't want to think about tap dance as like 50% dance and 50% music, but I want to think about it as 100% both. So like really getting not just the areas where tap dance obviously intersects with music and dance, but really having a full understanding and the way that will affect that we're able to play, able to write, able to make dances. With this program, I aim to recreate for others the education that I've been so lucky to receive myself. With this training, one could go in many directions. I would like to share a suite with you today that I think exemplifies the directions in which I am headed thanks to my education. If you remember back to the piece that Chase and I played earlier, the melody was all based on a tap dance step. And with this, I would like to invite my tap dancer, my best friends ever, Samantha Emmon and Jackson Clayton, out onto the stage. Woo! So I wanted to do this because I really wanted us to not just get an opportunity to hear the music and see the dance, but also get an opportunity to see a little bit of it live, so we have a little bit more legibility for understanding what the tap dance is doing. So a time step historically in tap dance means a lot of things. Historically, it was when you were traveling around on the vaudeville circuit and you would go from a different city to different city each day. You would come out and you would play a time step that would give the band your feel and tempo, because they had your chart, but this was your 10 a.m. show was the first time you were playing with them. So a time step would kind of give them the context that they needed to just be off and running with your piece. Today, a time step often means just a repeated figure, but I wanted to use a time step in this compositional context to be kind of act like what a clave does for both the dance and the music, being the solar system around which the piece sort of revolves. So it's like a packet of information that has all the movement vocabulary, but also has the major beats of the rhythmic vocabulary. So this dance is made up of 2 time steps. The first one that Sam is going to demonstrate right now. Yeah, it's in 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, great. And now Jackson is going to demonstrate sort of the adjoining time step with this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, cool. I want to invite my friends David and Charlie out here on stage. I want to demonstrate the way in which the time step and the bass line and the melody are really related to each other. But also, can everyone see the feet? If you in the back, I really want you to get a look at the feet, because it's also the movement vocabulary of the step. You can't see Sam's feet. Oh, there's a big speaker. Maybe do a little stand up. Is that better? Great. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to let them start, and then I'm going to count you in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks, everyone. So we're going to look out in this first piece. We're going to look out for little bits. Oh, wait, hold on. Keep the lights up for like one more second, please. Okay. So we're going to look for like little bits like in this sort of like turning, hopping motif that we're seeing in these two time steps, but also this little vocabulary. I really wanted to like, make a piece that was like 100% both. So that's what we're aiming towards here. So then the dance sort of continues to build out from the corner, and then this is like the big climax of the diagonal that we're about to see right here. Also, tap dancers don't often get a chance to dance in five, so I wanted to write some music that like felt really nice to dance in five. That was like a big thing that I was trying to do. It's also in 5-bar phrases, and I really wanted to like create a harmonic structure that had a resolution that felt really clear, even to tap dancers that may not like have the ears for it. So I really wanted to like create that feeling. With this next piece, it's going to start with the solo, and it's kind of demonstrating something that I've been working on this year, which is like thinking not just about when taking a solo, choosing what steps to play with, but also choosing like what does the tap dance instrument sound with, like really dealing with like the duration of the notes and the timbre and the like different volumes that you have accessible to you. So I wanted to like really, I'm finding myself experimenting and finding different colors that I might not have been looking for before. So in this solo, you sort of see me exploring those types of things. If we could bring the lights up for like 1 second, I want to show something. So there's like a moment where I'm like looking for this like kind of dark side of the shoe color, and then there's like also a moment where I'm like trying to get kind of combine those types of sounds. So yeah, you'll see that. I just wanted to bring that up. But I was also trying to make compositions that the tap dance just didn't feel like it was happening on the music, but it was actually like an integral part of the composition and the way that the music develops. So we'll see that here. And this last piece is really just like the culmination of this suite. We've sort of like built ourselves out from the corners of the stage, but now we're like flying through the middle of the stage. There's, this is like the big, we got there. Yeah, here's the last piece. In the future, I'm hoping to really hope to make this program a reality. I've just like going to school for dance and music, and like getting educated by people like Diane has just like given me such a a full perspective on this art form that I would really like others to have the opportunity to have. If you want to see the rest of this, we're going to expand it, and we're going to perform it in October at the ICA on the 21st and 22nd. And also I'm like really like expanding on and playing with the ideas that like, you know, I'm like headed, thanks to this program, in like a different direction that I'm like really excited about, and I'm trying to like expand on those ideas. And I'm returning to Tufts and Emerson this fall. I would like to thank the amazing band that I had the pleasure of working with, Samuel, Charlie, Liza, Julian, and Max. Extra special shout out to my best friends ever, and also like we like spent like 10 days and like doing nothing but learning this choreography. So thank you, Sam and Jackson, like so much. Thank you to my advisor, Nadia, to my hero, Diane Walker, who's with us today. Thank you, Jen and Mary, for getting this room for the recording. I know it wasn't easy, but to the engineers, Jay and Nick, and then Bruno and Andre and Chase and Derek were like massive helps to me in the helping of putting this presentation and project together. So I just want to thank them, and mostly thank you to Maestros Marco and Danilo. I'm just like so glad that you invited me to be a part of this program, and it's just like been completely transformative for me. So thank you.
Ian Berg. Ian Berg. Woo! Bravo. Yeah. Congratulations, Ian, and we're gonna open for questions and comments, and we're so honored to have here Miss Diane Walker. So I'm gonna give you the microphone immediately for the first comments or questions.
Thank you. Wow. I'm overwhelmed. So many things are running through my mind right now, Ian. First of all, I'm just so proud of you. You know, I've known Ian since he was 12 when I met him. And he stood kind of head and shoulders above the other kids in the class at the time. Those kids in that class drove me crazy. Now, I used to walk into that class saying, oh, God, just take me now. And in the middle of that room stood this, like an oak tree. He stood there. And he just took in the information, like every time. And then when the class was over, I was just telling Sandy, his mom, at the end of every, and you remember, you were there, he'd grab his shoes and he'd walk over to me and he'd say, in the midst of all these kids that were driving me crazy, and he'd say, thank you for class. And he'd leave. And he'd come back the next day. This was a week-long residency, and he had perfected whatever it was that we had talked about that day. And he came back prepared to go forward to the next. He was the only one, by the way, in the class that was doing this, and the rest of them driving me crazy. But it was just the joy that I felt then, and you remember those days in Chicago. I loved being in Chicago. I have felt that every time I've ever been with you, Ian. You are such a joy because you have always taken this dance as seriously as I have. You know, I had a career at a time and decided, kind of went like this, experienced tap again. I had left it as a child and kind of came back to it and said, whoa, wait a minute. And then it absorbed me in a very deep way. And not a lot of people are that into tap dance at that time in particular. So when you meet somebody along the way who understands the dance, first of all, who understands it, who gets it, and gets the joy and understands that, there's a connectedness that you have that's unspoken and can't be broken. There's a bond. And I have felt that with you since I met you as a kid. Every once in a while, somebody comes along who changes the face of the dance. We have many good dancers, exceptional, extraordinary people who pass through the art, whatever it is, whether it's dance or music or whatever. But every once in a while, somebody comes along who actually makes changes that really change the whole dynamic of the discipline. And you are doing that with tap dance. I'm watching you do that with the young people that you teach. I couldn't be more proud of you. And I know that people like Slide, sometimes I look at you and I just smile, and I really wish that Slide was here. And then I think, he is. I feel that spirit. He's here. Berklee, I just want to take a minute to say why Berklee. Because Berklee is Boston, first of all. I should say Boston is Berklee. I don't know which way to put that, but ever since I was a kid, I took dancing lessons on Mass Avenue, and I used to come up to get to the dancing school. I had to pass the Big M, Wally's, and a couple of other jazz joints that were in the neighborhood when I was a kid. So jazz has always poured out of this Mass Avenue for me. I lived in Lenox Street as a kid. And so to be here, when I got back into tap dance at 27, I did some professional work as a kid and kind of got back into it. At 27, immediately I wanted jazz to live loud in Boston, where I knew so much of the history. I personally knew so much of Boston's rich history here. And the goal always has been to see tap dance respected, acknowledged, first of all, as a dance form, not as a novelty act, and included as tap dancers included as musicians. I've always felt like a musician. I got it clicked for me to the tune of Grover Washington, Mr. Magic. When I heard that tune, it was probably in the 70s, I think, that's when everything changed for me in terms of I understood. I heard my life in that song, progressively. I went sort of on a journey that was my own journey, and at the end of it, I felt, that was me. That's me. That's me. That's how I connected to that. And from that point on, I was determined to help people understand what tap was all about. And I have to say, Ian, in watching you work with the young dancers that you've worked with and seeing the path that you're on, we are in really good shape. To bring this program to Berklee is a personal, and not just me personally, my generation of dancers, all of us that were on the front line of the resurgence of tap dance in the 70s, aspired to one day see tap understood, first of all, and respected, second of all. So I think that everyone is behind you and supports that. We're ready for that. Timing is essence for tap dancers. This couldn't have been possible 4 years ago. We weren't ready for that 4 years ago, even. The COVID period and the time, the time of reflection, I think, that people have had during that period, and the time of woodshedding, because Derek Grant was offering very intensive study during the entire period, and those 2 years came out with a level of tap dancers that were really ready for the next challenge and the next change. That's what I mean by the 4 years. So your timing for all of this is perfect. I get calls all the time from parents who want their kids to go to school, but they want tap dance is what they want to do, and there isn't any place to send those kids. And prior to now, they weren't ready, but they're ready now, and I'm thrilled. I'm so proud of you
I love you, Diane.
No, I love you more.
Thank you.
You know that I could, people don't usually put a mic in my hand because I could talk for a long time. And there's probably some more I want to say, but I'd like to give it to some other people in this
Yes,
room who have other things to
Yes,
say.
I would like to pass the microphone to the advisor, which I didn't mention before, Maestra Nadia Washington, please.
Congratulations. Superb. I learned so much in this presentation alone. Very eloquent, very beautiful. And it's great to hear that you are really putting forth an effort in a lab-like way to integrate movement and the tradition of tap dance in conjunction with music. Beautiful. I have a few questions. First, of course, now that we're homogenizing both worlds rather than them being separate, it's almost as if we are creating another axis, right? Space and movement and all of these type of things. Could you maybe expound upon, for your students, your potential students, how your work here, your choreography, moving in space, is different from the tap dance tradition?
I'm like really influenced by a lot of things that I was exposed to in dance schools. So like what you see me exploring a lot choreographically here with like the onstage and offstage stuff is like really referenced by a lot of like postmodern choreographers like Trisha Brown, who like experimented with doing stuff with like transparent wings and like, you know, like really experimenting with where's the onstage and where's the offstage. But my goal is that it's not like the tap dancing is the focal point, and it's all highlighting and accentuating the tap dancing, and it's not like cool compositional stuff with tap dancing too. It's like about the tap dancing, and it's about like doing tap dancing that is referential and like rooted in the history and like really, you know, like moving in a direction that is rooted in something. So it's not like all of these things, and then tap dance is one of the things. For me, it's about like the tap dance is at the heart, and then how do we make music, make dances like around the tap dance.
Awesome. And then, especially upon hearing the real connection between you and Diane, you starting so young.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that this institute is for higher level dancers, but it seems as though it would be such a good thing if you would introduce this integral level of tap dance music together to an age group.
Yeah.
Is that
I think that
is
like
that going to happen?
There could be a component of that. I think that's a good idea.
When I talk about timing,
Yeah.
we've raised them up. We've got them at that age with a really in-depth understanding of what this dance is. The work has been done. It's been done. So there is a generation of dancers that are so ready for the sophistication that this program would offer. Because what we didn't see, and I think Ian, I would have liked to have seen some of your vast coverage of your experience in this presentation, because he came up with the real die-hard. He came up in Chicago with Mad Rhythms, so he can handle himself in a cutting session. So if we had seen some of that, where you just get down
to get down.
to the floor. See, he didn't show that side of his experience, but that's another side of him. That's what makes him, what we just saw makes him unique, in that most of the dancers we see present this. This is what is more familiar to us. But when you see a dancer who can present this and that, then that's the totality of what it is. We didn't see that in the presentation. but don't get it twisted. He hold himself down.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They've been trained up. That's the thing. Since the 70s, I guess the Renaissance started in the 70s. He's probably, what generation would you say you are right now? You're about 5
Something like that.
generations out there.
Mhm.
There were the guys who led the Renaissance, and then there was my generation,
Mhm.
and then there's Derek and Sadie,
Mhm.
that generation, Dormisha.
Mhm.
And then the next generation is like Michelle Iadeli and them. That's how many generations? 1, 2,
That's 4.
4 generations down.
And that's Braille too.
Yeah.
So-
And then the 5th generation are the younger kids. So we've got like 5 living generations. And you're in the 4th, 3rd.
5th, something like that.
Yeah, in the 3rd no, 4.
Mhm.
4th generation. Yeah, so we could have seen a little more, what I'm trying to say is that the dancers out there in general, there are enough to
Mhm.
fulfill a program like
Yep.
this
For sure.
now,
Beautiful.
on the scene and ready today, with no place to go. The timing is perfect because we're gonna lose all of those years of priming them and getting them to that point. If they don't have somewhere to go, we lose them to the rest of their life. And that would be really unfortunate. And the fact that if the proof is in the pudding, we've got one of the next generation dancers that's just been accepted to Berklee. Dylan Such will be here in September. He's from North Carolina. He's part of that generation that I'm talking about. This kid he's amazing. And so we're thrilled that he's been accepted to Berklee as a tap dancer. He'll be here soon. Look out.
Yeah.
Dylan is killing, and he's on his way to the school. So the timing is really perfect. We're really proud. They call me Aunt Diane, and I'm just proud of this generation of dancers because they have really got the work done.
Maestro Chase, Maureen, you have any comment or?
Okay, I'll try to be quick because you know everything. We go back, and I'm just, I want to highlight how historic this moment is. Actually, maybe I could ask you, Diane, Sam Jackson, can you speak about that? This is so important to me, how historic this is for the tap community and especially the music community here at Global, Berklee, worldwide. Can you speak about that?
I mean, there's a lot of slides. Right, like tap dance and this music have always been, but at some point that connection became like less clear than it used to be, and I just like. It's like a lot of my classmates when I came here had never played with a tap dance before, but all of the guest artists that came in had. So there's like something generational that the tap dance is making its way into these institutions and making its way back on the scene in like a way that is so exciting. But like in a college studying tap dance has never happened, and I also don't know if. Like I might be the first tap dancer to like get a master's in music. So
Yes.
Woo! Clap to that.
In the beginnings, right here at Berklee is where it began. I'm going to now I have to drop a few Berklee names that got us here, that got the tap dancers here. Because without people like Leon Collins, who was a student at Berklee when I met him, he was a tap dancer, just pulled out of retirement. He was in his 60s at the time. And he was studying music at Berklee. He played guitar and he played piano a little bit, but he was a student here. And through Leon, we met all the other players in the game. The dancers, the Nicholas brothers and Coles and Atkins and everybody we met through our association with Leon as a tap dancer. But through his association at Berklee, we met people who came to the studio to teach us what an eighth note and a quarter note and a triplet was, because we did not know theoretically what all of that was. So they sat us down, people like Bob Stoloff. Bob Stoloff was the guy who came to the studio, and he was from Berkeley. They called him Scatman Bob. And Bob used to come and teach music. It was sort of a music for tap dancers class. This was in the 70s. This was in around 1978, 79, or 80 maybe. But Bob Stoloff came in, and he started the music, which then inspired people to then write tap dance as music. So there are books now that choreography is notated musically. Only the people who could read music and who had a music background or training were able to pick up these books and read them at the time. But now, just about most of the tap dance students can, because most of them are playing music of some kind or another, which was not the case in the 70s. So there was Bob Stoloff. And then, of course, we got hooked up with Alan Dawson, and everybody knows Alan Dawson and his association with Berklee. He took on tap dancers as a private student. I think Josh Hilberman did some work with Alan, and he played for us. I mean, it was John Lockwood, Alan Dawson, Ron Savage, after that. So we have been connected to musicians who have supported us, taken us along to the jazz festivals. You know, I've done Pori and North Sea and all the jazz festivals with the musicians. The musicians have brought us to this point. We've had Max Roach. I remember running behind him at Harvard recently, and they honored him. Well, it wasn't recent, a few years ago. And I was saying, come on, it was an evening of me and Max Roach. Was I nervous? Yes. So I was behind Max saying, come on, Max, take it easy. Take it easy on me. You know, be easy. Because he took me to nursery school when we did the last gig that we had. And he said, oh, come on, girl, you know how to handle yourself. But it was the musicians, these incredible musicians who have brought us to this point that we have shared a relationship with. We need to write about that, and we need to probably, bring that history to the table, because that work has been done, and we need to show it. So I'm really glad to see this, because I think it just shows a little bit about who we are as a tap dance community. It's sort of just the beginning, and I'm real excited to see where we go from here.
Thank you. Witness? Oh, sorry, Cesar, maybe you didn't finish.
Almost. And thank you so much, Diane. Thank you, Ian. And to add to that, for me personally, and I think for all of our fellow peers and mentors in the program, learning from you, I mean, it's undeniable, the claim you're making that dance has to be part of the curriculum.
Yes.
Thank you.
Lee.
We are a bit short with time, so I just want to say it's been a privilege. This was beautiful. You are changing the world, Ian. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Witness.
Thank you, Marco. Ian, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember a gig that I subbed for somebody. They said, you're going to play with tap dancers, and I showed up, and Ian was there. I met Diane there, and a couple of others. I met the kid, Fiona, and that was like a great day, and I didn't know what music I was going to play, and you guys made me feel so comfortable. You were like, you can do some free improv, you could give us some grooves, and sometimes there were no conversations, tap dancers just stepped on stage, and I was like, they started doing stuff, and I started trying to improvise, and I had a blast with you guys. And I remember meeting Diane for the first time. Diane came on stage and said, they know me as the rhythm changes lady. So you said the rhythm changes. You said they know me as rhythm changes. Late. Yeah. And then that's all she had to say, and I knew what to do, what to play on the piano. But just so great to see this. You guys taught me about on that day that there's this thingy that's happening within the Boston community, and I learned about the influence that Diane has made in the city with your work and grooming all this younger artists. And Ian, I think you're taking the torch now and, treating tap dance and, educating someone like me also sitting here and you saying to me, it's an instrument. I've seen that on that day that I met you guys, and I'm seeing you doing that. I love the choreography. Like, you've treated the choreography at its music in its own essence. Like, I'm hearing the instruments are playing, and I'm hearing another instrument coming in. It has its own color, texture. There's harmony within all of that you guys are doing. There's melody. There's so much emotions, feelings involved in all of that. That I want to applaud you and congratulate you on this journey that you're going on. And I also want to say that I'm around. Y'all don't forget me when you're having fun. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, witness. Thank you. Woo! Ian, briefly, but I have some questions, some comments. First of all, I need to correct myself because before I said that Zaid is the third professor studying, but I forgot that you are actually a professor at Emerson too. So you're the fourth one, and just like here, I just want to congratulate you. You put everything aside. You were always present, and you being such an important member of this community, always bringing that smile. Your attitude, always, beautiful to have you around. Really, I mean it. Your presentation is perfect. You brought visual, kinesthetic, oral. You have like all the learning modalities covered, and you had people playing. Nobody played music, and you made them play. That was really wonderful. You said something that, for the first time, sort of resonated in my mind at the beginning.
Cool.
Which I don't know why I wasn't thinking about it, but you said jazz and tap dance here have the same root, right? So at all effect, tap dance is an original American art form.
Yes.
And it's original to United States.
Yes.
So my first question is, do you feel this art form has enough of attention in the arts and in the education?
Definitely not, which is part of what this is all about.
And like coming back to what you just said before, what happened that this divide? What happened that jazz and tap were like this, and now you made such a good point? Maybe a generation thing. Think Hollywood, maybe. What is?
I think in the academic sense, like a lot of jazz moved into the academic educational arena, and for whatever reason, tap dance didn't follow. It might be a sound before symbol kind of thing, but I think that has a lot to do with it.
Because it would be interesting to have some question about that, some answer about that, also to develop your institution. I think would be important. I think what Nadia said about early education is very important too. I think you should also include it in your institute an early education program for that, for sure. Yeah. For sure. This is one of the things, that first thing I put when you presented. Now, I want to ask you the last question, and I know we are short of time, but see if you can come up with a rationale for this. You're creating a curriculum for an institute. You carved a space for yourself in this institute, and it wasn't always peachy, right? Like you had to, in a way, educate all of your musicians here, all of your mates, and all of us to understand and what is the role in an ensemble, and you had to understand it yourself. I think now you have a lot more answer, okay? Can you explain a little bit how your compositional process to include everything in what we heard, and now you plan to teach it in the program?
That's a great question, because I think there's a lot of layers to it. There's a lot of, where I'm kind of approaching compositionally right now, there's like a lot of context that one would need. So like that's why like we would include like a world percussion class, or like, because there's so much that tap dancers can understand in thinking about themselves as both percussionists but also like a horn player, and because tap dance isn't always repeating the same thing. Like we're playing like melodies in our own way. So I think having the context of these other classes would make a composition class make a lot more sense.
All right. But congratulations, Ian. It's been incredible to have you this year with us. Thank you for choosing us.
Thank you for choosing me. Are you kidding?
Ian, congratulations, Ian. Remember, I like what Marco said about the challenges. That's a great question about why it got disconnected. I remember the first time I was working with Jon Hendricks in the early '80s, in the late '80s actually, and we played with tap dancers. And I remember they were just blowing the drummer off. They were just. And then I had the chance to play with Jimmy Slide. And then I said, oh my God, that's Coltrane. It was with Bob Moses. So for me, it was always like, actually, the record, Panama came from the idea from tap dancers, to work with tap dancers, playing two monk songs at one. I got a chance to work with Max Pollack a lot. Unfortunately, we had a hard time in the studio. So for me, always being like the connection, Dizzy talk about that. Roy Haynes told us a lot. He actually tapped too. I wanna applaud the consistency. And when she talked about the oak tree, yes. And I know there were times that you were having a difficult time, but you were able to stand like an oak tree. And what I love of what you've done is that this thing about leadership, that you possess a global mindset because you are able to interpret and decode situations from multiple, even competing point of views. But you are able to bring the best and to bring your best at every moment because you love tap dancing. You just that passion and that love, you share with us. And we feel like we have got into another level because of that. We feel better today, because you brought the essence. Like, this is an art form. Jazz is an art form. That is the unity. Because you're improvising. So I'm just giving you congratulations. I'm proud of you. You make history. You came to global and you tap your fingerprint into this program. You came and you didn't pass through, you stay on. And you didn't just put your feet on it, you tap your way all the way in. Thank you for helping us to understand and go deeper into this pursuit of excellence and artistic research in our life. And I want to ask you something. I just thought that it would be cool to go into a connection with like the wood, the climate change, preservation of nature, and go into and present a different set of wood thickness for different groups of tap dancers and connect that with environment. And do one that sounds more like doom, 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 and the other one beep, 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 and they went doo, doo, doo. And then I would love to be there to hear when you are going to present this new symphony written by Ian for the betterment of the environment. How do we change life through tap dancing? I want to be there. Symphony Hall. You did? Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank
Ian
you.
Berg, Ian Berg. Woo! Bravo. Congratulations. Yes.